What's up? Welcome back to a new review from Mahoutsukai no Yome, and it's already episode number 10. Boy, oh boy. Time sure flies by, but I'm still loving this show. I'm still enjoying every single second of it, and in this episode, we had a little bit of Elias' past from a certain point where he was wandering around to the point where he met Lindel's master, when he became a name, or he got a name, and then, basically what was going on. And we knew that Chise was invited to come over to the Lands of the Dragons to meet with Lindel, and the messenger to pick Chise up, said, well, Lindel wants her to come alone, and Elias was, well, okay, it's about probably the wind and nothing too crazy, so, well, sure, go ahead, no problem. Chise was kinda worried about it, going alone, not with Elias on her side. And while she was away, Elias got basically a phone call, but it's not a phone call because there was a bird and it was magic, but it was basically a phone call. Magical cell phones with the birds. But all joking aside, it was basically me being criticized that he will harm Chise more than helping her if she's just living with him. And the one who called was basically one of the administrations of the college. And maybe we will see something progressing along that way. And maybe we will have Chise going to school or college to meet with other people and having or living a normal life, you can kinda say. But we don't know yet. And I'm not that far into the manga so that I can know it. I have a few volumes here. I've read at least volume 1 and 2, so yeah. But as we all know, there's more to it, and with Elias' reaction, well, his reaction of not really having a reaction, but well, it doesn't matter. We will certainly see some development in that direction. The other thing is when Chise was flying away, and then we saw Elias later the day still standing in front of the house. We saw it from Shilky's point of view, where she was inside the room. There was the book Elias was reading before and his cup of tea. And then he was standing outside the house. We saw it through the window, and he was looking into the sky. And basically as if he was looking after Chise. And I think it was a really lovely scene. And with a lovely, I mean to the point of knowing that, well, boy, there's more to it. There's really more to it. And during the evening or late afternoon, Elias was basically like, well, it's really quiet here. Even though Chise isn't very talkative, she's more of a quiet person, but having her not around makes it quiet. But I think this was basically just something saying along the lines that, or using a different way to express that it kind of feels lonely because she's not around. And he also commented how it feels colder, the atmosphere, the air, so yeah, not having the warmth of someone you care for, someone you certainly do like around. It was shown all in this episode, and this was very, very lovely. Moving over to Chise, who is at the Land of the Dragons, meeting with Lindel. Basically, climbing up the tree from the dragon who died before, and the tree was huge. And there she got a saw and she had to saw off a saw that could be worked into a vent. But she fell, she was lectured for falling and not even trying to break the fall and stuff like this. But what's more is that we had Lyndall telling her a bedtime story. And that bedtime story was basically the past of Elias. How he met Elias and how they were basically spending some time. So, as I've said before, Elias was wandering around and then he collapsed in front of Lyndall. Then Lyndall kind of fixed him up with some food because Elias was hungry. And then he decided to visit his master so that she can take a look on Elias. The master not really knowing what Elias actually is because, well, certainly there are signs of it being a fairy but still something human, so it's really hard to tell, and by this point we still don't know what he actually is, and he hadn't a name at this point, so the master of Lyndall decided to give Elias a name. And by the way, Lyndall got his name from her as well. And he got, as we know, the name Elias, with a little description about it, why she chose that name. And there he got something else from her. But what I liked was that she was basically letting Elias being in Lyndall's care, saying that, well, yeah, you need something like a stunt, and Lyndall was like, yeah, I don't take stunts, but hey, you're a buddy, so yeah, I have to care for you, so yeah, he was basically just kind of a tsundere. And Lyndall called himself the grandfather of Chise, or the other way around, calling Chise his granddaughter. But in a sense, that seems to be quite, yeah, legit, right, correct, you name it. Simply because he picked up Elias, he cared for Elias, he spent quite a lot of time with him, and then many years later, because we know that both of them are long-lived beings, Elias took in Chise. So yeah, it's basically that Chise is his granddaughter, and he's worrying about her. So yeah, and then Chise told a bit of herself to Lyndall, with her mother dying and running away and saying that she shouldn't have given birth to Chise. So yeah, it's actually quite nice that we are still coming back to the roots of Chise's character, to the point from what gave her the depression and all the things like this. So yeah, I just love the show, and I really have to go back and continue reading the manga. But yeah, I think I will leave it at this, and yeah. So, as always, thanks for tuning in, watching this video, and I hope I will see you guys next time as well. See ya!